I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
I knew it. I love when he does that.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Gentlemen, in my soul, something, something, Cody Rhodes. I'm the tribal chief around here. Yeah, you see me, the tribal chief. That's right.
Time. But let me go ahead and tell you.
Shut your bitch ass up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 482 of the Hoots Podcast here on this Friday, September 12th, 2025. So, truly the nefarious brother Adam, aka Joshie Lopez, ready to rock and roll with you guys today. We're going to be doing a little bit of a different episode today. Originally, we were going to have Matt McCool on the show and have our reunion. I don't know what's going on. I've reached out to him. We were supposed to record on Thursday. Nothing's really going on. He hasn't got back to me, so I hope he's alright. I don't know what's going on. When I kind of feel bad for you guys because I let you guys down, and I've been teasing it for it's now almost 3 weeks now that Matt was going to be on the show, and it just hasn't happened yet. So I don't know what's going on with him. He hasn't reached back to me. I think we're in a good spot. Nothing bad's happened or anything like that. I don't know. We plugged it in everything that he was going to be on the show this week. I just haven't heard from him. So I'm open to, recording something this weekend, and maybe we could drop that as a bonus episode. But, I don't want to let you guys down. And plus, I have to get this podcast out to you guys before I do SmackDown. It's just very important for what I do with my career. And I have to get this podcast out before I do SmackDown and stuff like that. So, we're going to do something a little different this week. A little test for this new project that I'm going to be doing after episode 500, making the next transition to what this podcast as a whole is going to be. And I'm teased this for a while, but we're going to be, I'll be breaking down and going over the journey of what Vanderpump Rules was from beginning to end to whenever this reboot starts. So I'm moving away from wrestling talk after episode 500, and I'm going to be shifting my focus, talking more about Vanderpump Rules and stuff like that. Just a little passion project that I wanted to do because I just finished rewatching the entire series from season 1 to end. And I have a lot of thoughts that I want to share on that, and I'll take you along with that journey, and we break down different episodes and get into different theories and stuff like that. I have a lot of stuff that I need to get off my chest, so that'll score my podcasting fix as I transition out of the wrestling talk. I don't want to do wrestling talk by myself anymore. If it was something where I was able to be on a bigger platform and I was like on a panel or something, I would do it. But me doing this by myself, I can't do it anymore. We are 17 episodes away from our final episode after today. This is 482. We're on the road to episode 500. It's getting very, very close. So I appreciate each and every single one of you who are still checking out these shows as we get closer and closer to episode 500. But again, I want to apologize for not having a new podcast out with Matt. I thought it was going to happen today, releasing today. I thought we were recording yesterday. Reached out to him, hasn't said anything. Reached out to him this morning, haven't heard from him since. So I don't know. We got to figure it out because these numbers keep going down, and hopefully we can get them on before episode 500. We'll figure it out. But today on the podcast, I'm not going to be talking about wrestling. We'll save all that stuff for next week. There's a lot going on in the country right now, and the last thing we need is more disingenuous and just wasted energy and talking about the IWC and stuff like that. All the stuff with the Kirk guy, the school shootings. We just had the 24th anniversary of 9/11 yesterday. I think I need a break from talking wrestling, so I hope you guys can understand it. This is going to be a little different episode. I don't know, maybe you could call this as a test pilot for my new project, but what we're going to do here, I'm going to be talking about a thing called Sandoval. Now, for those who are not familiar to the Bravo reality TV world, Sandoval is a big, affair situation that happened on Vanderpump Rules amongst Ariana Madix, who hosts Love Island and Love Island Games, by the way. Season 2 will be airing this Tuesday on September 16th. And she was in a 9-year relationship with Tom Sandoval, who was one of the original cast members of Vanderpump Rules. Tom was recently just on America's Got Talent with his band, Tom Sandoval, The Most Extras, which I'm a big fan of. And they were kind of like a quintessential couple to look up to. There was very rarely ever any drama between the two over the years that they were on the show. And then Tom had an unfortunate 7-month affair with Rachel Leviss, who was amongst the cast members, was friendly with Ariana. Some people claimed that Rachel was one of her best friends, or that's how they wanted to report it and make it look like that way. I know I'm going to piss off a lot of Team Ariana people as I get into this project, when I get to the whole Vanderpump Rules of it all, because I have my different perspective of it. As somebody looking at it from a different point of view, as somebody that wasn't watching it as it was happening. But all the time I've spent rewatching this series and checking out interviews and the reunions and all this stuff and observing things over the past couple of months and stuff, my perspective on the whole Sandoval of it all is changed a lot. And I'm not going to lie, I've always been a fan of Tom Sandoval as a musician, as a guy. Nobody in this world is perfect. Tom was not perfect on the show, nor did he didn't have to. But I always kind of like champion people that kind of are treated like underdogs, or people who are like misunderstood in ways. And I felt like in a lot of ways, a lot of people on that show treated Tom like shit, like Saucy, like Katie. Anything he did, like, it's always an instant eye roll for them. And like, I just felt like Tom got the shorthanded stick in a lot of situations. And we'll get to this when we get to the new project, but like, especially when we get to like season 8 of Vanderpump Rules and the whole drama with him and Jax, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole that we don't need to get down with. But when I look at the nature of what Sandoval became, and got to the point where Tom was literally ranked as the number 1 hated guy in America in 2023, I felt bad for the guy. I really did. I really did. Looking through what happened on season 11 and him admitting that he had suicidal thoughts and stuff like that, got me really messed up, man. I hated hearing that from him, that he got that low of a part, and you realize that he fucked up and he made mistakes. And I got audio that I want to play amongst here on the podcast today, but I didn't feel like what he did benefited the amount of harassment and punishment that he went through. I never met Tom Sandoval before. I would love to, he seems like a great guy, and I would love to shoot the shit with him and kind of maybe get his perspective on all this stuff, not just the whole affair or whatever, but just his journey on the show as itself, and kind of have him come here with a clean slate. Like this wouldn't be a conversation where I'm attacking him or anything. I just want to see what he's learned through everything that's gone on, and maybe have him have a chance to clarify some things, and get his perspective on this. Because I felt too much of what I saw for the Sandoval was just too much of the projection of what everybody else felt at that time, and the fact that the majority of the cast was just cashing in on his misery through Lala, through Sheena, through James Kennedy, And when I look at that season 10 reunion of the show, and everybody's going after Tom like he's a fucking criminal that did homicide, and then Ariana in season 11 threatening to call the cops while she's defaming him and calling him a attempted dog murderer because a fucking 37-year-old is too lazy to throw out her fucking food out of her bedroom, and unfortunately her dog got into some skewers. But that's all Tom's fault, right? that's only Sandoval's fault, right? The way he was treated in season 11 was bullshit as well. And again, I'm not saying that Tom's not without his faults. We all have our own qualms. I have my qualms. You have your qualms. Nobody comes in this life with a perfect track record. We all try to be good human beings. We all make mistakes, and it's horrible to have that be your reputation. Like, hey, I'm the guy that had a 7-month affair with somebody that I was never married to, but was a committed partner for a long time. And I know we all knew that Tom loved Ariana. That's never been the question. But when I look at the whole scandal and the fact that it blew up to the point that it was on CNN, and even for someone like myself that wasn't even watching Vanderpump Rules and didn't know what that was at that time, I even saw the press clippings about it. You couldn't miss it. All over Instagram, all over YouTube, all over Twitter, now known as X. You couldn't miss it. And I feel bad. I really do. When I look back at it, I feel bad for everybody. I feel bad for Ariana. I feel bad for Tom. I feel bad for Rachel for what she had to deal with the nasty nature of how that reunion went down on season 10, with the level of fertility and just insults that was hurled her way. There's one thing to express anger. I just felt that reunion went way too far towards both of them, to be honest with you. And as much as I have a lot of respect for Ariana as a person and what she's had to go through, and I can understand she had scorched earth feelings that she needed to get off her chest, and context is very important. This reunion in season 10 took place like 3 weeks after the fact when this news initially came out. So I get that. But further capitalizing on it after the fact and all this other stuff, it's just like you claim to be a mental health advocate, but you are encouraging your fans to harass your ex and Rachel and make them feel even more shitty about themselves than they already do. And I think a lot of times we get to these situations where you look at reality TV stars and you're like, oh, where's the contrition, and where's the accountability, where's the remorse? And I don't know how many times Tom has gone on the way out, whether it was on the show or press interviews or on his podcast, Everybody Loves Tom, or even the conversation that him and Ariana had on the season 11 reunion, how hurt that he feels that he hurt her in the matter of what he did. He realizes that he fucked up and realized that what happened with Rachel was a mistake in hindsight. Even to the point where Rachel started her own podcast and then tried to make him to be the only victim in the situation, which I thought was bullshit and just a bad look on her. To be honest with you, I'm happy now that Rachel's on her healing journey and that she's found a new lane for her career now, and she's doing stuff to benefit other people's mental health. So I think that's great. But when she was doing that Rachel Goes Rogue podcast, it was just, in my opinion, it was a lot of hey, let me take a step back here and project my issues onto Tom so I don't get as much more flack from Team Ariana. So if the basis of my podcast is oh, let me just further eggy on people and be hey, Tom Sandoval is the biggest piece of shit on God's green earth, let me keep saying that, and make Tom the only person responsible for the whole situation in the first place. And that did not sit right with me. own up and be accountable for your fucking actions. Tom sat there and had to eat shit from every single person that claimed to be his friend, and sit there and took those insults like a man on both reunions and through all of season 11. While everybody's making tons and tons of money off of Sandoval, not caring about his mental health. And you're also involved in this affair. It wasn't just him, but for you to make it out that he's the only one that was in the wrong, that did not sit right with me at all. And this is not going to be just like, when I do this new project, it's not only going to be solely based on Sandoval. I think that the topic's been done to death. I wanted to talk about it on the podcast today because a lot of the stuff is fresh in my mind, and I have stuff that I want to get off my chest. But also, I wanted to talk about this because it's important about mental health. You know, this is like Suicide Awareness Month, and hearing Tom's story during season 11 of the struggles that he was going through, even during amongst the worst times of his life, that he felt like he had no other choice, that he just wanted to call it off and give everybody what they wanted for him to go away, right? And they had that whole BravoCon in 2023 where he's getting booed out of the building, and that one random guy with the bald head, he comes in and he's like, "Oh, why don't you just go away? Nobody wants you here. Oh, just go away." You don't think Tom had those conversations with himself? And you're just piling on the guy. And I feel like I still see it today, that like those girls from Chicks in the Office still talk shit about him. And like, yeah, what he did was terrible. I don't condone cheating. Cheating is not acceptable on any level. Whether it's emotional cheating, physical, intimate cheating, I don't respect that. I don't. But people make mistakes, and if you are accountable with your actions, people should have a second chance, and let those people who made those mistakes move on with their life and learn and grow from their mistakes. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't put anybody against their will. So for Ariana, all season, I'm gonna call the cops if you do this. I'm gonna lock myself in a room as if he's some fucking serial killer, and all this other stuff. It just bothers me, and I don't even know the guy. Like, I'm speaking out as if like I'm a friend of his, but it's like I have a lot of sympathy for Tom Sandoval and the shit that he had to go through. Now, he, just as much as anybody else, would be the first one to say that he fucked up. And he do that. But we're talking about a human being here. It's not a comic book character. This is not somebody that needs to be held to scrutiny for the rest of his life. Like, what he did was terrible. And I'm glad that he's learned from his mistakes. He seems to be in a better spot in his life right now with his new girlfriend, Victoria. The band is doing good. They're about to go on another tour soon. When you look at where he's at right now, I feel like he's moved on for the better. And I've seen changes for him, that he seems more mellowed and humble about his outlook on life and having a better appreciation of what's important to him and stuff like that. And that's great to see. I can see progress from him. Yeah, has he had his moments throughout the show over the years where he was full of himself? Yeah, but so has every single member of that freaking show, including Ariana. And here's the thing. When I look at what happened with Sandoval, outside of Katie, nobody else on that show has any leg to stand on when it comes to holding him to a certain level of scrutiny, you know what I mean? Like, and I was glad for Rachel in a way that she spoke up for herself during it. Like, you know, James and Lala don't have anything to stand on. But it was so weird because James and Lala were the ones that were trying to act as if they were hurt the most more than anybody in that whole situation. They were making the reunion about themselves. Oh, I'm Lala, and I feel bad because Tom called me out for having a shitty choice of a partner in Randall Emmett, but hey, let me make Tom feel shit about himself. And for her to go out of her way to compare Tom to Randall during that time period, I thought that was bullshit. And the fact that Tom did not walk off during that time period, during that reunion, I don't know how he sat there and take arrows like that, because that's ridiculous. That's defaming character. He cheated, but to say that Tom was on the same level as Randall, I thought that was bullshit. And I get it that Lala was scorned and very bitter and very upset, and what happened to her was ridiculous, and no woman deserves to go through that. I like Lala. I'm a fan of hers, but the way she was treating Tom during that reunion was such fucking bullshit, because he called her out during season 9 about her ex and the way he was acting. You know, you call, but come on, Lala's just getting revenge for Tom making her feel bad about the situation. 2 wrongs don't make a right. And then James calling it the ultimate betrayal. The ultimate betrayal was to Ariana. James Kennedy has no legs to stand on any topic when it comes to the term of cheating. How many times has that guy cheated on multiple girls over the years? Multiple different partners. He has no leg to stand on. I want to play this clip here that Tom and Tom Schwartz were on Bravo's Hot Mic podcast with Alex Baskin, one of the main producers of Vanderpump Rules and a guy in charge over the years through Evolution Media, and a producer on The Valley, Alex Baskin, another person I would love to have a conversation with down the road. Alex had Tom and Schwartz, had Sandoval and Schwartz on the Hot Mic podcast, and I want to play this for you guys.
If you would have asked me like a year ago or longer ago, like, I would very arrogantly and confidently say I will never get myself in a situation like that, like anything like that, so confidently. And then it just like happens, and you're just like, holy, like I'm looking back on it, I'm just like, I'm still in disbelief, like how that could just happen.
How would you handle it differently now? Let's say that it had happened, and let's say that you develop feelings someone else when you're in the middle, of a relationship. What would you do differently at that point?
I think I was so wrapped up too in trying, because obviously I care for Ariana, so I was so wrapped up in trying to have the most perfect breakup. Like I looked at like Tom and Katie's breakup, and I was like, I want it to be even better, even more like whatever. And I think I was wrapped up on trying to do things perfectly. And then also it got to a point too where like subconsciously I'm like delaying the inevitable, because I'm delaying the hurt that's going to come. And I think, looking back, and people always say it, like said it to me so many times, like can't even begin to count, but like, you should have just broke up with her. You should have just broke up with her. But it's like, obviously, when you're in it and you've been with somebody, it's the longest relationship by far, by like double that I've been in. So, when you're with somebody for 9 years, it's like they're kind of like family, in a sense. And it was, it was just hard to like, to go through with that, to try to like, I was doing this process, like trying to make it perfect, but I should have just pulled the trigger and done it. And I should have backed off when I felt feelings, and really tried to get to the root of where those are coming from. And like, if they're just like for this person, or the need to feel loved, like, cause I was lacking so much love. I was yearning for it. And so when I got it, I was yearning for that like admiration that like in my life, and that I wasn't getting. And so when I got it, I just was like, it became intoxicating to me. So
You set the very low bar for breakups. What do you think of that? What do you make of referencing your breakup?
Well, I think there was a compliment somewhere in there because we did really handle our breakup maturely. As
think
far
you
as
guys did, yeah.
She sat me down. She told me very frank, and she listed the reasons why, and it was such a healthy, productive, although very sad conversation, heart wrenching, but it was pragmatic and like honestly, it was as good as a divorce can be after 10 years together. Oh no, that was by that time it was 12 years we had been together.
Were you surprised when she sat you down for that conversation?
I mean, it ripped my heart out, but I knew she was right. I knew it was the right decision. But just we built this beautiful life together, and we'd put so much work. You know, me and Katie Maloney were a slow burn. It wasn't necessarily like that love at first sight whirlwind romance. It was like a slow burn, and we put a lot of work into our relationship. We've been through so much at that point, and even now, I could still probably spend the rest of my life with her, but I don't know how happy we would be. But I knew it was the right decision, but it was a jagged pill to swallow. You know, we still lived together for 3 months afterwards because we had to do some renovations in the kitchen, and we still had a good time. Like we would still get like Postmates together, watch movies, but don't get me wrong, I spent a lot of time crying up in the depression chamber, as I used to call it. And
Dude, I'm sorry to laugh.
Yeah, and also once I transitioned into, I was in my dream house, the dream girl, like everything for a while there felt almost perfect. I felt like I was really thriving, and I took some major steps backwards, but like maybe 3-4 steps backwards. But I'm about to take 5 or 6 steps forwards again. So
yeah,
I guess I'm poised for a bounce back. But man, I was like 2 years of basket case. I've never gone through 2 years of being such a sad sack of in my life before.
You were in a sack of
Well, I was pretty sad, man.
But it's like we said. I mean, there was a lot all the way around, and you were processing all of that.
I was trying to do the like over a period of months, like slow breakups.
You guys loved each other, but it was not at that point a healthy, good relationship.
It wasn't. There just was a very big disconnect. I felt like, when we would be around each other, it was just for show. It felt acty. It felt like, yeah, like you're my homie, but like obviously the chemistry was just gone. Just different friends. Like we would go out and just completely split up, and it just was not positive. And I found myself in a very bleak place where I was like, is this the rest of my life? There's so many things going on. We're a good team in the sense of like work together well, and like we have all these things that we've built. Like this is the most, we've built our lives up together. We came up together in that sense, and I came to just a realization, I need the love, like the real love. And I think Ariana was just like, nope, this is what it is. She had come to that conclusion that she was okay with that.
We had, as production, inklings of what things really were between you guys, but you guys were...
Everybody close to us saw the reality of it. They all saw it.
Now, do you think that it was real? Do you think that it was about the relationship with Rachel? Do you think that it was, you're saying, seeking something that you weren't getting in your relationship with Ariana?
I think it was all of it. I really do. Like, we spent a ridiculous amount of time. Like, it's embarrassing to say, and I know people don't, but we spent so much time together, like talking and getting to know each other. We knew everything about each other, and it was a very safe, accepting place, and very positive in a lot of ways. I feel that connection was real, but I feel that the extent that we were like around each other was a little bit like it became an escapism too. So it initially was one thing, and then it grew into something else. But yeah, I mean, the feelings I would have done at one point. I would have done anything for her. You know what I mean? Like for real, like anything.
And Schwartz, obviously, tough to be party to this, and I know we're not. I mean, we can or can't get into the timeline. I don't really care, but it's been beaten to death and whatever.
It's like I get brain rot when I think about it because it just was it's such not a substantial moment in my personal life,
right?
But it just also completely overshadowed everything in my life, which is a weird, just like replaying it in my mind, you know.
Schwartz kind of closed off. Like
I just maybe I had a callous indifference or not. But sporadically, you know, I would interject and intervene and be like, you got to make sure, dude, what the going on? This is going on too far.
Yeah.
Like, you need to tell, like, anyways.
What do you think would have happened, sliding doors moment? Let's say that this wasn't discovered until after our reunion. Then what?
I don't know. I mean, I had a planned session with my therapist that 2 days to basically go through everything because there's no way. And I got so close so many times to telling Ariana, but like, it's like, I would be like, well, I would have to like ask Rachel. I'd be like, are you know what I mean? Like, it's like, cause we're both involved in this, you know? So, and I wouldn't get an answer. I'd be feeling it in the moment. And I'm like, that's not just me. Like, I have to take into consideration her, like, before I open this door. And I actually had a planned session with her and my therapist. Like literally, that night before I did a therapy session in my friend Jason's car, our band manager, because we performed that night at Tom Tom. I was in his car and had a therapy session with my therapist. And we were discussing like, okay, this is when it's happening. This is when it's happening. So, yeah.
So the idea was to take care of it and just never got there. Yeah.
Pretty excited for this chapter to be over.
Thank you to Alex Baskin there for the Hot Mike Bravo podcast there for the audio clip there that I wanted to play for you guys. My main purpose of doing this topic thing because I want to open the awareness of how damaged words can be towards people, especially for people who deal with depression or feel to the point where they become numb and empty inside. And I feel that looking back on how the whole Sandoval thing was treated as a whole, I felt was a very bad light on the cast as a whole, on how they treat mental health as a whole. And just, you know, like, there's a lot of hurt feelings. We all say things that we regret during times, but I feel like the egging on and the added harassment that Tom went through during that time period was just appalling to watch and observe from afar. And I don't know these people. I'm not going to make personal judgments towards anybody on the show. I don't know them on that type of level. But from a person that enjoyed the show, and I like to see people, you know, have their chance to redeem themselves and learn from mistakes. Everybody in life deserves second chances. What happened with Tom and Ariana is unfortunate, but it did not deserve him to be canceled and shunned out of society as if he's not a good human being and doesn't have a good heart and it doesn't come for he doesn't make decisions he doesn't make decisions from a good place. You know, I never met Tom Sandoval. I don't know him personally. People have their opinions on the guy. I would love to meet him and get to know that for myself. I'm a big fan of his band, Tom Sandoval, The Most Extras. Hey, if you need a rhythm guitar player or whatever, I'm here for you, brother. But I'm going to get into this a lot once I launch that VPR podcast. And no, I'm not going to be calling it this. I'm not calling it Sandoval this or anything like that. I'm trying to come up with a name for this VPR podcast rewatch thing that I'm going to do. But when we get to the whole Sandoval of it, I'll break it up in different parts because there's a lot more to this. Obviously, I barely scratched the surface on the stuff about what Rachel said on her podcast. More stuff from Ariana and Tom. Well, I'll get to that in another time when the time is right. But I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. I really have. I'm glad that both Ariana and Tom in their own way are succeeding in their new adventures and what they're doing. You know, Tom had a successful appearance on The Traitors, was on America's Got Talent. Ariana's doing great stuff on Love Island. She's doing very well for herself. She really is. So I'm happy to see that. And more importantly, I'm glad to see, like, when they're doing, like, their press interviews, they feel like they're in a better headspace about life as a whole and what the future looks like. So, and that's important. So I'm happy for both Tom and Ariana. And I'm also happy for Rachel in her own way when it comes to her doing the sound bath things. I think that's awesome, and that she's trying to find ways to heal herself. And no healing journey is linear. It's just not. I haven't even addressed the whole Sheena of it all, and that'll be a big topic of discussion once I get to that when I do the VPR podcast. But if anybody from the show listens to this, especially like Tom, to Tom specifically, I don't need to tell him anything that he hasn't said to himself, or I don't need to repeat advice and stuff like that. I just want to say that you know what you did, and I feel like more importantly right now, I need you to have some grace within yourself. Find a way to forgive yourself for the actions that you made, more importantly, because I know how difficult it can be going through every day feeling like, oh, if I do one thing, people are going to come after me, and always have to fight off narratives and reputation and stuff like that. For Tom, understand that you're on the right path right now. You have everything in front of you. You got a great girlfriend. You got people who care about you. You got the band that's kicking ass. And understand to accept grace and self-forgiveness, more importantly. I often found the fact that the best way to heal and move on from bad situations that bring you down mentally and spiritually is forgiving yourself. Even if you were in the wrong, having the ability to swallow pride in a way and forgive yourself instead of like finding reasons to make excuses for things. Like, it's more important to forgive yourself along the way and give yourself grace, because you healed a lot. You have healed a lot. I've noticed the progress you've made, and you should be very proud of yourself. Really, you should be proud of yourself, man. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This is my initial take on the whole Sandoval of it all. But that's going to conclude our podcast today. When we come back next week, we'll get back to the wrestling talk and get you ready for WrestlePalooza. No, the WWE Initial PLE on ESPN will be airing next Saturday. And don't forget, tonight I'll be covering Worlds Collide on YouTube, on WrestlingHeadlines.com. That's where you can see all my transcriptions, and on ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. Follow me on X if you like, at the Hoots Podcast. Instagram at Joshie Lopez Music. As always, be the authentic product that is yourself. Remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. I'm Joshie. This has been episode 482 of the Hoots Podcast, as the countdown to 500 continues. And I love each and every single one of you. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy Worlds Collide. It will be here to preview WrestlePalooza next week, right here on the Hoots Podcast. Yeet.
Bye-bye, bitch.